Good morning, ladies, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be, or whatever time it is while you're listening to this. I am Dr. Melissa Rich. This is the podcast, Taking Care of Your Temple. We are on episode 25, and I have an amazing guest today here, my friend Amie Kelly.
Yes.
And we are going to be asking her a lot of questions later and getting her story, which is very interesting. So I'm going to do a little introductory for the podcast for those of you who have not listened to it before. The objective of this podcast is to help women improve their relationship with God regularly. We do that by using his power, grace, strength, wisdom, all those things to improve physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And I say that in a different order every time, but
That's all right.
Yeah, I know. I get them in there.
They all have value.
Yes, they do. And we do this by using the following 4 principles. One is we keep our focus on God. This is something that I just keep thinking should be so easy, and it never is. You just keep getting distracted and you chase rabbits. And yeah. So I have to keep pulling myself back. The second, acknowledge that we are not enough on our own. I think as parents, we figure that out really quickly. Yeah.
He puts us on our knees.
Yes.
Yes. He wants us on our knees. Our kids push us to it.
Yes, you do. So the good thing is we don't have to do it on our own. We just have to ask him for his help, and he provides it, thankfully.
Grateful.
Next, remembering that it is about progress, not about perfection, which is amazing news, thank goodness. And then the fourth one is to work on consciously changing our thoughts, the messages that we give ourselves, because those are so important. Right. And if we're giving ourselves a lot of toxic, negative messages, we're going to feel negative.
Correct.
And,
your brain will seek to prove what you think and what you speak.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know this because you do speaking a lot.
I do. Yes.
Okay. And also this time, this is something new. I found a verse for the podcast that I love. 1 Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's spirit dwells in you?
That is perfect for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm got on our mirror at home.
Do you? Oh,
we all do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Every morning.
So Amie and I know each other because we're both in a couple of different organizations here in Waco. One is WOW, Women of Waco, and another is FEW, Female Executives. I always want to say entrepreneurs, but it's executives.
It could be both, but yes.
Yeah. Female Executives of Waco.
Right.
Also, we have a bond because we both speak Spanish.
Sí, es la verdad.
Sí.
And we go to the same church.
Yeah. And go to the same church. Yeah. So we have lots of common ground. We both have 2 kids, although mine are older than yours.
Yes. Mine are younger and I'm older.
Oh,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yes. So Amie is a graduate of Baylor University, which is right here in Waco. Did your husband go to Baylor?
He did.
Y'all meet there?
Yes. Okay. And his dad taught there in the economics department for 49 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Is he still there?
No, he retired, and we joked with him, like, why couldn't you finish 50? But he retired.
Really?
He hit 49.
Yeah.
I think he was about 78 or 79 when he retired. And yeah, he's big economics guy in Waco, and he was always the speaker at the chamber economic.
What's his name?
Tom Kelly, Dr. Kelly.
I have heard that name before.
Yeah. Very prominent and knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. In fact, one of the first times I met him many years ago, he sat me down with an economics textbook and asked me some questions.
Oh,
I think I passed. I'm still in the family.
Yeah, really good. Okay. Yeah. So Amie's first profession was in education, teaching 1st grade, 4th grade, Spanish, and then ESL, which for those of you who are not in Texas is English as a second language. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
And that can be worldwide too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, because I think of Spanish, but you probably had a lot of kids from other countries other than Latin American ones.
Yeah, most of my kids were from Mexico. And in fact, my 3rd year teaching in Waco ISD, all of my kids were emerging the bilingual program. So they all were Spanish speakers at home. When I moved to China Spring, I was teaching kids that had a home language survey that was not English. And then but we had 2 from China and then 1 that was adopted from Russia. So it's easy for me to, speak Spanish to my kids that speak Spanish. But it's interesting because my brain would want to speak Spanish to my kids from China and Russia.
And they probably didn't get it.
No. And I realized real quickly that wasn't working. But it's ESL is great. I love it.
Good. Okay. And your last 6 years, you were the ESL coordinator and teacher in China Springs. Now, you don't live in China Springs still, do you?
No, I have always lived in Woodway.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Drove out there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Great school district.
Okay. So Amie is a director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. We'll talk about that more in a minute. She started her business in 1999. So how many years is that?
25.
Wow.
In my 25th year. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
She started doing this so she could be a work from home mom. Now, I said that Amie's a director. That's a position that only 2% of the consultants reach. So that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to get to there? Do you know?
Great question. So when I joined the business, I told my director, who was out of San Antonio, that I would work it for a year. I loved the product, knew I was 10 years and committed to using the product and how it helped my skin. But I, kind of was a snob and had a college degree, and it wasn't in selling lipstick. So I thought, I'll give this a year. I had done this other home-based business and it was not fun. So I was kind of obnoxious. Anyway, so I gave it a year, and within 9 months, and we can talk about this later, but I had earned my first car. And at the end of that first
in 9
year,
months,
yeah, 9 months.
Wow.
9 months, yeah. And so at the end of the first year, I had promoted myself to that director position. And it was fun. I mean, I was not going to leave.
You didn't waste time.
No, do it fast, right? Fast is fun.
Yeah, I guess when you find something that you love and you know it, there's no point in messing around.
I mean, when they reward us the way that they do and they incentivize, is that the word, or incent?
Incentivize. No, I think you're right. Yeah.
Then I never knew I enjoyed incentives and prizes because sadly in teaching, we don't get many, and it's
not nearly as many as teachers deserve.
Right. Correct. My husband's a teacher, so I 100% agree with that.
Yes. Well, and I think this is a total aside, but I think during COVID, one of the good things that came out of that is so many people realize teachers are underpaid and underappreciated.
High five.
Huge one. Huge one. Because they are. Yes. I mean, it's so not a job for the faint of heart.
No. And sadly, and this could be another topic, but there is this exodus of teachers that are leaving. They're leaving the profession.
Yeah.
I have many, many teachers still in the profession, and it's going to get to a crisis level.
I know.
Yeah.
Before we do something.
Yeah. Well, they have to start with their pay. They have to start paying them.
Yeah. Right. What they're worth. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Okay, so you retired from teaching 2 years after you started Mary Kay, and you've been a leader with the company ever since.
Right.
I love this. You have earned the use of 14 career cars. You're currently driving your 8th pink Cadillac.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's crazy to hear on paper. Yes. And just so blessed. So blessed. We are in qualification for our 9th pink Cadillac right now.
Okay, so the question I have to ask, if you earn a pink car, whatever it is, 3 years in a row, do you just have 3 pink caddies in your driveway, or do you turn one in and get a new? I mean, how does that work?
I get that question a lot. So it's a lease. So every 2 years, you have to go through a qualification process.
I see.
And then there's 3 car levels. Of course, my goal is the best one. Yes.
Yeah, why not?
And you even have an option to take cash or the car. And so I'm actually taking cash right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I'm having to buy a car for a teenager now. So.
And he probably doesn't want to drive a pink car.
You know what? He probably would, but he has we joked that he would want to paint it black.
And yeah. Kind of defeats the purpose.
It does. I know. Yes.
Okay, so Amie has earned a spot in the National Court of Sales. I don't know what that is, but it sounds really impressive.
It is, yeah.
For the past 21 years, consistently being recognized in the top 10 in the nation.
Right. Among directors, yes.
Among directors, yeah. Well, that's, the cream of the crop anyway.
Yes, yeah.
In 2019, she was number 2 in sales in the nation. I am so impressed.
Thank you.
Who beat you?
Well, that's a sore story. I'm in therapy for Melissa. No, I'm not. But I should be. No, my goal, and we'll talk about this through our story, but is in Mary Kay, when you are number 1, my goal is never to be number 1 just to be number 1.
Yeah.
That doesn't excite me. Well, I mean, it's fun. Trust me. And you do get some cool prizes. But with our company, one of the rewards of being number 1 at the end of this year is you get to come on this giant stage in front of 10,000 people, and your family comes on the stage with you. And you get to talk and you get to share your story, kind of like what I'm doing with you today. And so my goal was to bring my family on stage, and we built our family through adoption. And Mary Kay is a huge part of our story. And so I was on target to be number 1. Was tracking number 1, and I forgot to place a $300 order. We were on vacation.
Oh, Amie.
I know. And so it's not a good story, but
sorry.
God gives me opportunities just like this.
Look how close you were, though. I mean, my goodness.
I actually probably beat her, but there's a cap every month. And because the next month I had an amazing month. Anyway, it's okay. God's good. We snuck my kids in. Don't tell Mary. But we snuck them in. I had already bought my daughter's dress for the stage, so I mean that's how done it was.
Yeah,
like it was done. And so she and my son were on like right down at the bottom. They're not on the stage, but at the bottom, and they were taking pictures. And my daughter was I think 5 at the time, and she was like, "Mommy's the queen." She didn't know, but yeah, it was sad. I cried a lot of tears over that one.
But that's still, I mean, an amazing accomplishment.
And I won't tell you what my husband said because it wasn't nice. He said, if you're not number one, no, if you're not first, you're last.
What?
Joking. He thinks he's funny. I know I do.
Yeah. Okay. So Amie is also recognized as a top leader annually at their Dallas seminar, I'm sure, finishing in the 500,000 circle of achievement in 2022. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Now, your other job, you own Impact Success Coaching, and you bring tips and training to businesses and individuals for the past 15 years. Passionate about sharing personal and professional growth opportunities, and she believes that school is never out for the pros. And we'll talk about that. I want to ask you some questions about that in a little bit. So she's trained a lot of local businesses, including Central National Bank.
Sturdy Steel.
Thank you. Sturdy Steel, Brazos River Authority. And she was one of the featured speakers at a conference for HR, human resource, executives last year in Austin. Mm-hmm. And she's a current member and past president. I didn't know you were past president of a few female executives.
Many times, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm a 15-year alum.
Wow.
Yeah, like original.
Wow. Member of Women of Waco. I knew that. Junior League of Waco. And served on many fundraising committees for Waco nonprofits in the past.
Yeah.
So she has been married to Kevin. And I mentioned that we go to the same church. Mm-hmm. Kevin and I sing in the choir together. I mean, we don't together. He's up on the back row with the men, and I, but
right. No, it's great. He loves it.
Choir. Oh, I love choir.
Yeah.
And he is a behavior intervention specialist for Lorena ISD for 25 years. What does that mean? What does he do?
So he's been 25 years is how long we've been married. Actually.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. So he's a special education teacher.
Okay.
He was with Midway for 16 years. In Waco, 7 before that. So we both did Waco ISD for a little bit. And then he just moved to Lorena he has a group of kids that are arted into his program, which means they're, through a meeting placed into his program that he works on specific behavior goals with these kids. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No curriculum other than that. So he went from teaching special ed math and science to helping to manage behavior of about 20
kids. Seems though, I don't know him hardly at all, but he seems very good natured, and he seems like he'd be very patient.
Very.
He seems like he would be a really good fit for that.
He is. Yes. And he gets good practice with our teenager.
And this is the last thing. 2 amazing children. Hannon is 17 and Charis is 9.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So now we're going to get into the questions. That was a little bit of the background.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? What did your parents do? Do you have siblings? Tell me about that.
Grew up in lots of places. My parents are originally from San Antonio, and my dad's job, he was in pharmaceuticals, but on the business side of it instead of the sales, and ended up moving to Ohio. We lived in Columbus, Ohio, and then Richmond, Indiana first. That's where I was born. Indianapolis, Columbus, Richmond, Virginia. So it kind of made a little circle around the east side of the U.S. And then they always wanted to get back to Texas because their parents were both in San Antonio. They went to the same elementary school, the same church together. So they
grew up together.
They did. Yes. Youth group. So they had an opportunity to come back to Texas. He did through his job, and we landed at Canyon Lake, which is north of San Antonio. And that's where I finished high school. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you said you and Kevin met at Baylor?
We didn't meet at Baylor. So I was already finished and teaching. Okay. And he had free tuition. He'll take
because his dad.
Right.
Yes.
And so
that's a nice perk. I am aware of that.
Yeah. Not a dig on my husband, but he finished in 3 terms, which we joke were Reagan, Bush, and Clinton. And anyway, so he wasn't quite finished when I met him, and I kicked his butt back, if I can say, back into school, and he finally finished. So he was on a little hiatus when I met him, and I said, "You have free school. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know how people sometimes just need a little extra direction.
And you are so shy and retiring. I can't imagine you saying anything like that.
I know.
Yeah.
I've become less shy as I've aged.
I was actually saying it sarcastically because you don't seem shy at all.
Not anymore. I grew up more shy.
Really?
Yes.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother. Yes, he lives in Goldthwaite.
Okay.
He is 2 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
my mom lives here now. My dad, when they moved back to Texas, he worked here for about 20 years, and then he developed skin cancer and passed away. So
Sorry.
it was sad because they were both going to move to Waco
Yeah.
to be closer to
Right.
both of us. And then his skin cancer came back. And so very sad. We were very close. Yes.
And how long ago was that?
He was 58. So 21 years. Yeah.
Ugh.
Too young. Too young.
Very. So when you and Kevin met, was there like this instant attraction, or were you just kind of
Well, that's
or
a cute question. No, I love sports. He loves, which is a light word, sports, obsessed.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
is good. I mean, I do too.
yeah.
And so I had a guy friend, a mutual guy friend that we used to work out at the gym together, and we were watching the All-Star game, the baseball All-Star game at his house, and with some people. And Kevin was there with his girlfriend. So no, I was not
instant
not
attraction.
interested.
Okay.
No. But we started, over the months going out and, doing things, and I realized that there was an attraction there eventually. Yeah. He broke up with his girlfriend first.
I was going to ask. I figured.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you guys were trying to have children,
right,
when you were, once you got married, but you had some serious health issues. I don't know. I shouldn't say come up. Some of them you already had.
Right.
So I've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, heart condition, stroke. Tell me how all of
that order.
Yeah.
So after being married for 3 or so years, I had started my business at this point too, and it was going well.
And this is the Mary Kay business?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And Kevin even encouraged me to do that. I was scared. See, I was I am the one that likes the comfort zone. I used to.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I mean, some things.
You've gotten more adventurous.
Right. Yes, we have to. We have to learn to do things that scare us. That's the only way
Amen.
The only way that comfort zone stretches. But, I was just a happy teacher but a poor one anyway. So we were having trouble getting pregnant. So you start with a fertility specialist. I was going to a great guy in Temple, making lots of trips back and forth. And, my Mary Kay business was going very well. And so we just made the choice at that point for me to retire from teaching, have the opportunity continue with these appointments, because it's very time consuming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Infertility is very time consuming. And so anyway, he diagnosed the PCOS, which is a hormonal illness that you have for life that can prevent ovulation and, cause lots of other problems. And so also, then while I had 2 ectopic pregnancies back to back, which are pregnancies in the fallopian tube. They removed one of my fallopian tubes, and then I was preparing for IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. They have you on birth control for that to subdue your system, and then they will rev it back up. Well, anyway, I had just flown, was on the birth control, and I had a stroke just coming in from a Mary Kay trip, actually. And so they had to determine why a 35-year-old would have a stroke. And they determined I had a hole in my heart, which is called a PFO, a patent foramen ovale. You learn about all these things.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And so through that, it was determined that I needed to have heart surgery it's a closure. They put a closure device into my heart.
To close up that hole.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I still have it. Hopefully it's
still closed up. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully it still works. I carry a little card that shows, what my serial number is. So hopefully there's never a recall. But anyway, so yeah. And then at that point, that shut down our, attempt to have a baby naturally or, with help, because I was on blood thinners and, pregnancy is already a stroke risk. And just after having heart surgery, my doctor wanted me to at least take a couple of years. And I was at this point, approaching 36. Yeah. And so we had some wonderful friends in our lives, Shelly and Brad Niemer. They go to our church as well.
I've heard the names. Yeah.
And they had adopted through a wonderful agency called Buckner out of Dallas. And so they had planted so many seeds along the way for adoption. But for me, I was like, I'm getting pregnant. I'm good, but God used them in a big way to prepare us for that. So pretty much after my surgery, we just decided, let's go and get that started.
So was that a long process? Because I know it can be.
Yeah. So we had started, I can't even remember, it was, 17, 18 years ago. We'd started the process And then once we realized, okay, this is going to have to be the direction for us because of my health, we finished the paperwork. That's probably the longest, but then you have to do the home study and go through all of that. It is a process for sure. And then our waiting, actually, though, there is a point where you turn everything in and you just wait. And then birth moms will come into the agency and look through profiles.
Okay.
And if I can tell the story really fast, I was actually at the gym doing yoga, and God's just so good. I mean, I could tell you all the stories about how he's just given me little mini miracles along the way. And he does this for all of you too. You just have to open your eyes to see them. But I was doing yoga and I was praying. It was the end of yoga, and I was praying for our birth mom, which at this point we had no idea who it was. We just knew that she was out there, right? She was going to find us at some point. And I was on a conference call walking into the gym. So I had my phone, which I never bring my phone with me to the gym. I think that's now, I don't know, it's, almost 18 years later, but people do it all the time. Anyway, so I'm on the treadmill after yoga, after I'd been praying for this birth mom that we didn't know. And my husband calls and he says, "Hey, are you sitting down?" I was like, "No, I'm on the treadmill." And he goes, "There is a birth mom at the agency, and check this out. And she wants to meet us. And she's already had the baby."
Whoa.
So,
wow.
And instantly I knew it was a boy. Like my spirit, the Lord told me it was a boy. And so that was a Monday. We drove up to the agency on a Tuesday, met this precious little baby, and drove home with him on a Wednesday. So I was a mom. I woke up on Monday praying for our birth mom that actually was sitting in the agency at that time that I was praying for her. And so Wednesday we had papers signed and we were parents.
Wow, that is an amazing story.
Quick. Yeah. So it was about 4 months of waiting. That is not long.
No.
It is not long in
not
the
at
adoption
all.
world. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your son.
Right.
And then you have a daughter.
Correct.
You also adopted her?
Yes. So that has a whole nother amazing story. And I will tell you that the day we brought our son home in a pink Cadillac, by the way, which was fun, that was 7 years to the day that I started my business.
Wow.
And God used my dream to be a work from home mom. I thought everybody thinks their path is going to be one way.
Yeah.
And then you learn, oh, wait, we're not in control, And so 7 years after starting my business, the Lord provided this child for us, And,
I want to point out something too. I'm a big believer that God answers prayer.
Yes.
And you mentioned little miracles along the way. I think a lot of times what happens is he doesn't answer it in the way that we want or we expect. Yeah. And so we don't see those little miracles. We're not.
Because we're looking at different places.
Yes.
But we truly try to tell God what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. We do it all the time.
Yeah,
but
no, I know. But man, he's the king of the world,
Yeah.
And he is.
Yeah. And he has plans.
And they're good.
Yes, they are. We just have to trust him. Yes. All right. So tell me about.
So got our son. That was so fun. I just loved being a mama and working. I would do facials and he'd be in his little bouncy seat, right there and work with my
fun.
Yes. So just like what we did at my house, I did continue to work hard and achieve goals. And what's interesting is during that time of infertility, we got him in 2006. I started hitting that national sales goal in 2002, which was the year of my first miscarriage. So it's interesting how my business was therapeutic for me.
I'm sure.
And it just really kept my mind off of my reality, and it allowed me to serve other people because people think, when you're in sales, that's what you do, but you really help people. You find their needs and you meet them. Yeah. And then you get a relationship out of it.
Right.
And
some people in sales do that.
That's true.
Point that out.
That's true. Your heart has to be right.
Yes.
But I said no to it for so long because I thought I didn't want to be that pushy salesperson, that was their focus, but I realized that's not my heart. So we're good. Okay. So then I had 2 more miscarriages. I had 1 more ectopic pregnancy. My tubes were just not happy. And then, so we decided to adopt again and started the process, this time with a local agency in Waco. It's called Nightlight Christian Adoptions. If anybody's interested in adoption, please, we're going to give out my information here at the end. I love being an advocate and a helper. In fact, we're going to an adoption fundraiser tomorrow. So always love to share our story and help others.
Yeah.
And in fact, before we adopted our daughter, there were 3 opportunities that sort of came our way for adoption, and it just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so I helped even a good friend of mine's daughter find an agency.
Yeah.
And yeah. So anyway, I was at this is another crazy story, but I was at a Mary Kay function. I was about to say Baylor, up in Dallas, which is where our headquarters is, and was with a friend of mine who they are actually coming in this weekend. She's a sister director friend of mine, 12-year friendship. And we just done things together, and we just always stayed connected.
Yeah.
We just had a nice bond, and I helped one of her girls move into the director position who was in Waco. We train each other's people.
Yeah.
And it's actually called the Adoptee Program, which I love.
Nice.
So we're in the bathroom at this event that we went to every year together. And she had been posting things on Facebook, pray for us. But she didn't say what, you could tell it was a private matter. And I just said, hey, I'd love to pray for you. What's going on? You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
And she let me know that her daughter was pregnant, and they were just, in a state of, what do we do? And I said, wow, that's hard. And just asked, does she want to parent this child, not keep?
Yeah.
Keep your language right, guys.
Yeah.
There is proper adoption language. We can talk all about that.
Yeah.
But is she choosing to parent this child, or is she choosing adoption for this child? Well, we want to choose adoption. Have you found an agency? No. So I was actually in our conversation letting her know that we had adopted our son. She did not know that.
Okay.
She didn't live here.
Yeah, right.
So I told her all about our son, how we love his birth mom. It's an open adoption. So we have visits. We love her. We respect her in her role as his birth mom. And she just couldn't believe that was possible. Because
that was the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said, that is the only way that we would do this, is if we can remain in this child's life.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, that's the only thing Buckner does, is they only do open adoption, and they work with Christian families. That's all they do. So I was like, it's just down the road. We were in Dallas, and she's like, wow. And then I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and it was the Lord saying, this is for you.
I'm getting goosebumps.
And then I looked at her and I said, wait a second. I said, we're adopting again. I had temporarily forgotten. And I think the Lord allowed me to forget so that she could see my heart. Right. And I didn't just go, give me your baby,
Yeah.
And so for 15 minutes, we talked about my story with my son. Right. And so I said, wait a second. I said, we're done. Like, we're done and ready. We're just waiting on a match. And she said, really? And I said, yeah, I forgot. We both kind of giggled. We were crying at this point, and so I said, we would be willing to work with you if y'all are willing to work with me. And she said, yes. And so, long story longer, we ended up meeting at a restaurant a few weeks later. We had never met their daughter. And so we met her. She was 17. She's beautiful. And that was October. And we brought home that baby in February.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that one, they're both open. We adore our birth families. Yeah. Both of them. We just spent a weekend with my son's birth family in Canton, and then my daughter's birth family.
And I think that's so much healthier for the kids.
100%.
Because otherwise they have all these unanswered questions, and there's this hole in their
everybody deserves to know their story.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think there's nothing, in fact, I think that's kind of a grace of God thing to realize, I can't parent this child. I don't have the resources. But I want to be sure they have a good home. And I still want to be a part of their life.
Right. It's the most selfless thing.
Yes.
Because it's the most unnatural thing.
Yes.
And it breaks my heart. It's like, when both situations where that birth mom placed those babies into my arms, it's the most joy and the most sadness you've ever felt in one moment. Yeah. Because as a mom, you're sad. You're just
your heart's breaking for them.
It's breaking.
But
you can make me cry.
I know. Me too. Sorry. But you're so happy for you and your husband. And
but you realize the tragedy in it.
Yeah.
And the joy. Yeah.
But I think that's such a good example of God taking what could have been a really bad situation and turning it around to where there's a good outcome. Not maybe the one you would have thought of or wanted. But what a great outcome.
Yeah. It's, taking those ashes and then
making beauty from ashes.
Yes. I mean, look what he did on the cross.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to be leaping back and forth. So I'm going back to when you had your stroke.
Right.
How severe was it? Because, did you have to relearn to do things? Did you have physical therapy?
Yes. No. So it was mild.
Okay.
It was originally called a TIA, but then after
Oh, yeah.
trans-ischemic attack,
Okay.
which are common in older people,
Yeah.
But then after the MRI, I had infarcts in my brain, which are dead spots.
Oh.
And so my doctor
Wow.
died. She's like, Amie, quit calling it a TIA. It was a stroke. But thankfully, no, like when it was happening, my left side went numb and I couldn't speak. It was garbled speech. But no, I mean, I get migraines, and I get migraines with the visual, the auras.
The auras.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, thankfully. Yeah, I know.
God has been watching out for you guys.
Yes.
So dealing with all of this, your physical issues, and then all the adoption, or do we keep trying? Do we adopt? Did that impact y'all's relationship, you and Kevin?
Gosh, such good questions. Infertility is a challenge for sure, and just all the things. So he's always been just by my side. He's a very good guy. Every marriage has its issues, y'all.
Of course.
There is no perfection. I was joking with Melissa before we hopped on, and she's like, well, don't worry about it. I said, I'm an imperfectionist, so we're good. It's fine. We've always been rooted in our faith, and that's only gotten stronger over the years. And thankfully, Kevin has led our family in that. We got baptized together right after getting married. I grew up Lutheran, so I got sprinkled, and he never got baptized, even though he grew up in the church. And so I know his parents divorced. I think that anywho. So he's been very willing to grow in his faith. And so we've been to counseling. I'll tell you anything you want to know. We've been to counseling. We've just keep growing together. We're committed every day. It's a commitment, right?
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah. So when you were going through all of this, you may not have been aware of it, but you were experiencing what is called compound stressors. You had all this physical disease.
Yes.
You're trying to get pregnant. You're trying to decide whether you adopt, balancing marriage, work, all this stuff. That must have been really stressful.
Yes. And so that's funny that you bring that up. So after the stroke, which I thought I was dying that day, and it was my mom's birthday, so it was horrible.
Just what you want.
I know. Hi, Mom. And then, I lost my dad not long before that. So I just thought she's going to be so sad, and I did develop anxiety. So I developed panic attacks.
Yeah. Understandable.
I did. And the very first one, I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was another stroke.
It can feel like a heart attack or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was breathing into a paper sack. I remember Kevin ran into the bathroom and got that. And then a friend of mine called me, and, Kevin was like, she can't talk. And I told him we might have to go to the hospital. I think this could be another stroke. And the friend told my husband, no, she's having a panic attack. So it was like diagnosed through a friend on the phone. And anyway, so I went to my doctor actually the next day and got some meds for it. And I did start counseling at that point. And she called it generalized anxiety disorder.
Yeah. GAD. Yeah.
That I went to her, and we walked through it. And then she's like, anybody that has dealt with what you've dealt with, losing your dad for, 4 miscarriages plus the stroke, would have this.
Of course.
You're normal. And I was like, oh, good. I just needed someone to tell me that.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah.
We do need to hear. I mean, it's not that I'm weird, although you could be. It's just that this is what happens when you go through all this stuff.
Yes. My brain almost went to that fight or flight place without having a trigger. So it would downshift to the fight or flight, and I would just be sitting in a restaurant or,
Yeah. Well, and there could have been no triggers, or there could have been triggers that were so small you didn't even recognize them, because in that state, just about anything can set you off.
Well, and then you start having that feeling of that out of body almost, where the panic is coming on, and I always felt like someone was stepping on me or choking me. I didn't get sick to my stomach or anything, but and then you start breathing, and I would always talk, because that's when I knew something was really wrong, when I couldn't speak. So I'll just start talking to myself. I know it's just weird, but it's just this survival thing that we go through. And I had things around my house, like, the cognitive behavior therapy, like I had positive affirmations
Yes,
written around my
yes.
house and things that I would say when these feelings would come on.
And that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
You're retraining your brain.
Yes, correct.
So I know that you're a Christian.
Yes.
You went through a lot of this stuff. What are some things that you learned about God and how he works and through all of this?
Let me cry.
I've got Kleenex somewhere. I can get some.
He's just good, you know, he loves us.
Yeah.
It's, and you know, we have a 17-year-old son that we adore, and that we're walking through some things with him. And
I think you do with every teenager.
yeah, every teenager. Oh my gosh, all my friends, we all have kids the same age, and it's just interesting what kids are going through, especially since COVID.
Yeah.
It's just, it puts you in a sweet place with him. I'm sorry. I'm just grateful every day for him, for his sacrifice, for loving us the way he does.
Yeah.
It's just major gratitude. I think that's what has kept me grounded, is having a focus of gratitude, even through loss, gosh.
There's Kleenex right there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that, you said that you're very grateful.
Yes.
and all that. But again, I think you chose to react that way. There are people who would not have chosen to react that way and would have become very angry and bitter.
Correct.
And,
victim.
Yeah.
Why'd this happen to me?
Yeah. The why me mentality.
Right. And I went to every one of my friends that were, they all got married before me and they all had babies before me. And that's okay. It was their time, and I mean, I went to a baby shower, hosted a baby shower for a friend like 2 days after I found out I was miscarrying. But
Amie,
you do, this is what you do, because I knew it would be my turn. I knew, and God would honor that. He would honor that obedience. He doesn't bless us when we're not obedient. I mean,
agreed. Yeah.
We have to, his blessings come after our obedience.
Yeah.
And we reap what we sow. And I want to sow good things.
I'm a big believer in that,
Yeah.
that what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You come across, not right this minute, but no, I'm kidding. I
am strong. He is strong in my weakness, right? Isn't that a beatitude?
Yes, it is. You come across as very confident and put together. So I realize that you probably don't feel that way all the time, because nobody does, but that is what you project.
Yeah.
What are some things that help you be that kind of strong, confident person?
Because, it's not about me. It's about how I can help and serve other people and make other people feel valued and important. And, I believe God uses all of us if we allow him to
that's a big
do
key.
his work. Yeah. And how does he do that? One way is through other people. And I want to just be available. And if I'm being weak, or weakness is not always bad,
No, it's not.
But if I'm not presenting myself the way that God, my strength is through him. My strength is not my own. It's all channeled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I appear that way, I'm just grateful that God's allowed me to.
Well, and it sounds like you make yourself available for that.
For sure.
Which is a big first step.
Why put a wall up to the one that created me and that loves me and that wants the best for me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch over to your businesses. Some people would say that selling makeup isn't really helping anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
Or that it's kind of frivolous.
I would have said that. Yes.
How would you respond to that?
That, first of all, let's get practical. Everybody's getting it somewhere. They're buying skincare. They're buying makeup. Go to any store. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So what makes us different, and this is what I had to learn through my experience in starting my business, is that we are different in that we provide a relationship, we provide service, we answer your questions, we provide education. It's not just here's a product on a shelf, hopefully it'll be the right color, and you go home, you scan it at the Walgreens and you go home. So we have a whole different way of bringing a shopping experience to our clients. One of my great customers, she just texted me the other day. She said, I love working with you and shopping with you, because first of all, we get the relationship, we get the communication. We want that. We are built for that. We are built for relationships, especially as women.
Yes. And that's how I think Mary Kay structured things.
She was brilliant.
Yeah.
She was a believer as well. And she
I
allowed
thought
God
that she
to.
was. Yes.
Yes. Oh, it was always God first, family second, career third. Always.
How many companies are built that way?
That are still going strong.
Yeah.
You know, and she was down to her last, she had $5,000 to her name. They were set to open in a month. Her husband dropped dead, literally at the breakfast table, died.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she was a widow by herself. And everyone said, Mary Kay, don't do it. Don't do it. And her son stepped up and said, I'll help you. And this is our 60th anniversary in September.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was a Christian woman. She was a real person, you know, not like Betty Crocker.
Yeah, right. Who's made up.
She's a
Yes.
marketing.
I knew that. Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't know how we got off on that topic.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You were telling me too, though, about Mary Kay being one of the few companies that it's made here in America.
Yes.
Most
cosmetics are made overseas. Most everything is made overseas. And about 2% of cosmetics are made in the US. We're part of that 2%. We're very proud of that. We are based out of Dallas. So it is that our world headquarters is in Dallas. It's off the tollway. And we are in over 35 countries as well. So, I mean, we could talk about how we are changing lives for women. Yeah. I mean, even men can start their business here, but all over. And in countries like China, that's a communist country. And we have a Christian business that's thriving. That's cool. India is thriving. Mexico, huge in Mexico. South America, we're all over, all of Europe. And, we were in Spain on a trip once. My husband and I were there, and we were in this tiny little town in northern Spain. And we see a little sign on a window that said, "We have Mary Kay. Tenemos Mary Kay." Yeah, yeah. We were like, "Oh my gosh."
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised you're big in Mexico. My parents are missionaries, and I grew up in Mexico, and they love Mexico. They call it pintadita. I mean, you just don't go out without stuff on. I mean, that's just a very cultural thing. Yeah.
So to answer your question in a very long answer.
Yeah, it's okay.
Makeup makes us feel better, makes us look better. You know, it's here, it's essential, it's consumable. You're going to use it up and then need more. And so what I tell my clients is I become your store. You just change your store, but you get me. You get a product that's guaranteed. You get knowledge. You get all the things, and a great price.
You know, I mean, I have confidence in your company that you're not putting cheap ingredients in there that are going to irritate my skin or, you know.
Yeah. In fact, we follow the EU guidelines that it's about 1,300 ingredients that are banned, the European Union guidelines. The US only has about 15 ingredients. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is. I've heard that before.
It is sad. So we have clean makeup. And I'm confident, you know, when you do what you do.
Yeah.
If I'm going to come to you for hypnosis, I want to know that you're going to be able to be effective.
Of course.
So if you are not confident in who you are and what you do, I don't want to work with you.
Of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
So people want to do business with not overconfident.
No, but people who know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that addresses the other question as well.
You raised a point that I hadn't thought about, and I didn't have it on my list of questions, but I'm going to ask you, are there very many male consultants in America?
There are more since COVID. Yes. Just because so much of the economic culture changed with people losing jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had our first national director. National is our top position. Yeah. And we have our first male national director.
Interesting.
Yeah. There was a pastor out of San Antonio that drove a pink Cadillac.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him.
I know. Hey,
good for him.
It's a great business. Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your impact success coaching. What is that? How did you get into that?
I love it so much. So through Mary Kay, they do such a good job training us. This is where, you know, school is never out for the pro. That is learned from all of our education that we get through Mary Kay. And we have at all of our events, we have training from people that are in our company. They don't bring outside trainers. They use women who have walked the path.
Right, who've been there.
Yes, and are successful. Our national directors are about 200 strong, and they are just, you know, she calls Mary Kay's daughters. Well, she calls all of the directors.
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
And now sons.
We got one. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Lots of Mary Kay guy directors now. Anyway, so I learned about just so many cool things. And my history as a teacher, it's all I ever wanted to be. I need to get you a different brand for that.
Sorry.
Anyway, so I just love teaching, and I missed teaching, and I would teach at my events. I used to hold weekly events with my group.
Yeah, because you're doing training.
I'm
Sure. Yeah.
doing training.
Yeah.
And so then I learned about DISC. DISC is a study of behavior styles.
Yes, yes. I forgot what it stands for, but yeah, I know what
It's an
you're talking
acronym,
about.
right?
Yeah.
And so I just started going to trainings, and then just have developed some things that I offer to businesses. And yesterday I was in Lufkin, Texas,
Really?
training a MHMR group there that works with early childhood education with children, OT and PT and therapy and teachers. So I trained about 30 or 40 women, and a couple of guys were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you just developed this business yourself?
Yes.
On your own?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So about how much time would you say you spend with Mary Kay, and how much with the Success Impact?
Yeah. So Mary Kay is my primary focus. And probably, I don't know, 20 hours a week. I still hold parties. I'm going to lead a party with one of my consultants today.
Fun.
At a real estate office. Yes. So last week, I think I did 12 faces. You were one of them.
Yeah.
And
I was.
Yep. So at least 20 hours a week. So 20, maybe to 25, have some office time as well. And then impact is probably, I would say maybe 10 to 20 a month.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday was a lot. Yeah. Because the drive was long.
Yeah.
So yesterday was about almost 10 hours.
Well, that brings up a good point. Between two businesses, being a wife and a mom. Now, I mean, how do you juggle everything?
I like to work.
Okay.
And especially the things that I do, I love.
Yeah.
So
which makes a difference.
I just wake up and smile every day. But yes, because first of all, work is a blessing.
Yeah.
Idleness is not what we are called to do. And so both of what I do, both jobs, both businesses, help people. And I'm just passionate about helping people. And the beauty of all of it is I have the freedom to design my life and design my schedule. And
which is nice.
Yeah, I can say no to things.
Sure.
Nobody's can fire me. I mean, I'm not, I'm going to follow all the rules of everything. So anyway, just my family's my priority. It's why I started all of this. It's why I work hard. It's not for power and achievement. My motivation is my family, security, building, college funds. And
well, and you sound like you are happier being busy. I mean, not like necessarily 24/7,
not
but
busyness.
Productive.
Yeah. 100%. And that's part of my personality style too. Yeah. So I need to be productive.
See,
my mental state will start to.
Yeah. I have always said that I could never completely retire because I would drive myself and everybody around me crazy.
I was actually thinking of you this morning when I was putting on my makeup. It's true. I think we're alike in that way. That
I have to have some things that are productive.
Correct.
Yeah.
It brings us joy.
Yes.
And it's
I feel better.
Same.
That way.
Same.
So God answered your prayers for healing and for children. How would you, and that doesn't always happen, or how would you respond to women who are still asking for freedom for disease or for children? What advice, if any, can you give?
Man. Pray. Get a support group.
Yes.
Be surrounded by people that love you. Your best friends are the ones that want the best for you.
Right.
And a very sweet friend gave me that advice, and you can have multiple. So and stay plugged into the word, to the truth. Don't buy into what the world wants to tell you. And practically, like I've got a unit member now has struggled with infertility for a while, and, be proactive, get the tests, find out what's wrong, talk to the doctors. If it's not working for you, I had my fallopian tubes flushed out. My husband, of course, we had him checked, all the things, and then we chose the adoption route. We were very proactive.
Right. And I think that's a big one too. Don't just sit there and be a victim.
Correct. And if God wants it, listen, God is all powerful. He can do whatever he wants, but we have to take that step. He says he will light our path, but what if we're not even on it?
And that's a good point. I think you had mentioned this before. Obedience has to come first before being blessed.
Yes.
We want to be blessed without bothering with obedience
or working. Or
yes.
Lord, send people that want Mary Kay to my front door, but I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. It definitely does not.
Yeah.
Were there any Bible verses that were particularly helpful for you?
Oh, yes. Well, Romans 8:28 is my son's verse when we dedicated him at church. And that's, all things happen for good.
For those who love God.
And that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't just happen for good.
We forget that part.
Yeah. You gotta be
for those who love God and are something according to his purpose.
Right.
I don't remember all of it, but
we're called
according to his purpose. Yeah.
So the key is that it is you have to be living in that relationship with him, abiding with him.
Right.
That's yoked with him.
Yes.
It's not like every now and then throwing up a, hey, what's up? It's true. And then my daughter's is Isaiah 43:19. And I should have written it down. I don't have it perfectly memorized, but it's where, do you not see what I'm doing? Where there's a way in the wilderness. I'm creating rivers in the desert. Yes.
Is that where I'm doing a new thing?
Yes.
Have you not seen? Have you not heard? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Isaiah 43:19.
I love that.
So good to me. That just speaks to me.
That's
I love Isaiah, Old Testament, but man, full of just truth and prophecy.
So let's end this part on a positive note. Tell me some good things about Kevin, about your son, and about your daughter.
Okay. Well, we love Jesus.
That's a good one.
Kevin and I have a load of fun. We laugh about silly stuff all the time, probably too much. We actually get on our kids' nerves because we are goofy and silly. And sometimes
I love that.
Going, oh my gosh, y'all. We love sports. Kevin and I, we love college football. If it is on, we don't care if it's Boise State and Utah. We don't if we want to watch it. And thankfully that's probably why we're still married, because.
And at least you're both like-minded. Yes. See, my late husband loves sports and I could care less. So,
Now he's a little more intense than me, but, and then our kids, our Joy, teenagers are not my favorite. I'm going to be honest with that. I love him. But man, I think someone told me once that when they go to college, you're kind of thankful. I'd say put you through a lot before that.
Well, and they learn a lot then too.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the real world. My daughter is precious and 9, and I'm an older mama, and I've had people ask me if I'm her grandma, and that's why I pile on the eye cream and the vitamin C. And I'm like, no, I'm not her grandma. I'm her mom. I could be. I'm old enough. But we just love our story. It is our story, and we don't sit around and whine about why this didn't happen and why that, and this life is a short one, and and my husband is like 3 years from the day the age that my dad passed away. So, you just have to be very
sobering.
Yeah. And just appreciate every day.
Absolutely. And that's
we travel a lot, and not crazy, but we'll go to fun little, Texas has so many fun things to go to. We'll go to Granbury. We'll go to Horseshoe Bay is my favorite place in the world. We'll go to San Antonio. I love San Antonio. Yes. I want to go to Canton. Have you been to that big sale that they do? I'm not a big shopper, but we were just in Canton 2 weeks ago because that's where my son's birth grandparents.
Okay, right. You did. I knew you had said something about Canton,
and it was even going on, but we did. I know. I'm not a big shopper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to contact Amie, it is www.mariekay.com/ and it's AMIEKELLY. And Facebook, you are Amie, how do you pronounce it? Mersinger Kelly.
That's right.
They can get a hold of you there. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to give a fun fact about Waco, like I always do. Waco, I just found out, and I need to do this, has a fixer-upper tour. That sounds so cool. The van tours? I guess. Yeah, I've done it. It's fun. It is fun. Okay. Yeah. They have a local guide. You explore some of the neighborhoods, the houses, shops, landmarks, and everything that have been featured on the HGTV show Fixer Upper with Chip and Joanna Gaines. In fact, when I moved here in 2014, and when I said I was going to Waco, everybody I knew said, "Oh, that's where they do Fixer Upper." Yes, I know. Yep. Yeah. It's good though. It's a good thing to be known for. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There is a stop at Clint's shop, the woodworking, and sometimes you can even go inside one of their homes from the show. They also stop at Harp Design and JDH Iron Design, and I love the iron stuff. Yeah, that's right across from Magnolia now. He's putting in. I don't think it's open yet, but from the Jimmy Don. Jimmy Don. Yeah, it's right across the street on 8th Street from Magnolia. Where the silos are. Yes, but it's the new section where the church. It's just right there. Yeah. I did not know that. Very cool. Yeah. I love his stuff. The tour lasts about 2.5 hours. The cost is $44. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to take it.
It's fun. We had a good time.
And it would be fun with somebody coming into Waco to visit.
Yes.
I think it would be a fun thing to do.
We had some friends. My friend's family came from Seattle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they loved it.
Yeah. So if y'all are Fixer Upper fans and you come to Waco, you need to do the tour. Okay, so along with this podcast and Waco Hypnosis Center, I'm available for public speaking. If you're interested in having me for an event, you can contact me through my website at www.drmelissarich.com or email me at info@drmelissarich.com. So if y'all enjoy this podcast, I think Amie was amazing.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Yes.
It.
You could do one or more of the following: write a review, share an episode, or follow. And I would appreciate any or all of these. Thank you all.
Girl. 25.
This is 25. This is episode 25. Yes, it is. I know.
Awesome.
So enjoyed it. Thank you all for coming, and see you all next time. Bye.